Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for this morning's press conference reaction. My name is Paul, and I'm joined by Alex this morning, who's literally risen off his deathbed to do this press conference. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you do enjoy the show, as usual, please do give it the thumbs up. Guys, we are 12 subscribers away from 34,000 as we go live today. 12. So please, if you are new to the channel, get subscribed, and hopefully we can celebrate 34,000 on our Christmas special tonight, which would be quite incredible. So welcome, everybody, and you can support the channel in the usual two ways. First of all, by membership. We've got some fantastic members prizes to give out tonight during the Christmas special as well. So make sure you are a member by hitting that join button just below myself and Alex. And of course, you can support the channel using Super Chat, which is a $sign at the bottom of the live chat. And that will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show as well. And finally, a massive thank you once again to our sponsors, Mamaroo Records, based in Whitley Bay, of course. If you're ever in the town centre, go ahead and see Steve. He'll do you some cracking deals on vinyl, CDs, music merchandise, sporting merchandise, gift cards. He's got it all, guys. And if you can't get into the shop, head to the website. That's pinned at the top of the description. Mention you're a Toon Review customer, and I'm sure Steve will do you a cracking deal. We've got a couple of gifted memberships early doors, one from Trolls and one from Jock Bar. So thank you, guys, straight off the bat. Good morning to Mr. Cough, Splutter, Sneeze, Stato.
Good morning.
Now, I'll not ask you how you are because I know exactly how you are. So, cough, ache, everything. But you don't tend to do these press conference reactions a lot. So it's good to see you this morning, man. And then back to bed. Hopefully, we'll see Alex tonight for the Christmas special because it's one not to miss, isn't it, when it comes around? Craig Wright says, according to the Chronicle, profits of around £400,000 in the week leading up to Christmas alone have been achieved, with numbers over 1.5 million potentially going into the coffers this month alone. Yeah, we've had a good month on the channel, Alex.
Yeah, if only.
Yeah, it's good to know that the money's rolling in, of course. Now, I do want to start with what Eddie had to say about Martin Dubravka this morning, because obviously he is highly linked with a move to Saudi Arabia, of course, in the winter transfer window. Now, what he did, he said a bit of, I think he gave both sides of the coin's answer to this, Alex, and he said that obviously he's the number one starting goalkeeper at the moment while Nick Pope is away. Injured, sorry, and he doesn't obviously think that it's a good idea to let your first choice goalkeeper go while he's in the team. He's very pleased with the way Dubravka's came back, and he's looked very composed, very good. He hasn't had a problem. But then a couple of sentences later, he says, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Martin later on in the transfer window. So he's not giving anything away, which he probably wouldn't, but you can understand him being a bit reluctant to say, yeah, we're going to sell him when Nick Pope's injured.
Yeah, I mean, reading between the lines there and maybe doing him a disservice, but just reading between the lines, it's like, yeah, we'll keep him until Nick Pope's back and then he can get sold. It's not going to be an early exit, put it that way. So if Dubravka is going to go, it's going to be mid to late January, you would imagine.
Won't see Pope for months. I mean, look, Dubravka's done very well, and certainly his distribution seems to me like it's a lot better than what Nick Pope's has been, Alex. But we haven't really seen him tested, have we? Yeah, he's made a couple of saves. Made a good save at Ipswich, of course, which I think ended up being offside in the first half when he came out and narrowed the angle. Made a good save. Didn't know it was offside, to be fair, but it was eventually given offside. But he hasn't really been tested save-wise, has he?
There's been a couple of challenges, but not many. No, I don't think he's good enough to be first choice goalkeeper for us, even second choice. I think for an extended run in the team, I don't think he does what we need him to do. And I think he's going to get found out, and it bothers me. And we're just going to have to try and make sure that free-flowing attack scores plenty to mitigate any things that come our way. And I could be wrong. Look, maybe Dubravka's been learning and changing and adding to his game. I'm just going by what I saw in that run of form last year towards the back end of last season. It was poor.
Yeah, I mean, look, he can only do his best, and I think there's not a. I guess it's 50-50 split on Dubravka, because I've seen a lot of comments saying that they're very disappointed, with the whole Man United thing. Nobody's really forgiven him for that. But at the moment, he's come in and done a job, and we can't really complain. But Villa will probably be a different kind of test on Boxing Day. Lemon Tea says, I'd just rather keep Dubravka in until the end of the season. We're in good form and would be ashamed to disrupt the defensive lines. Charlie, good morning to you. Since we had Dubravka, we've been smashing these games. Can't disagree with that at all. We've got Eric saying, morning all. In your opinion, is the centre-back or right-wing position more important to fill in January? Me and Billy did have this conversation last night, Alex, and it's a difficult one to judge because Jacob's playing so well at the moment, but we do know we need another centre-back. Botman, of course, is coming back very soon, but it's cover on the right-hand side. But where do you stand on it? What would you say?
I think it depends what they want to do with Lascelles, because we've not really had anything on him, have we? From it was
he did say this morning on Lascelles he's still behind where Botman is. He was
there were similar timelines given originally, weren't there? So
he said on Botman, he was asked if there was any chance we'd see Botman take part in the squad on Boxing Day. Now Eddie didn't say no. He said he's very pleased with Botman's contributions and what he's done, and since he's got fit again. He didn't throw out the chance of Botman being involved, which will be on the bench, of course. He won't start the game. However, Lascelles, he said he's had a few problems. He said not setbacks, but he's had a few problems where he's felt the knee a little bit in his recovery. So he is behind where Botman is right now, and wouldn't really give a timescale on Lascelles.
Yeah, okay. Well, that changes things then. I think maybe centre half, but I think with the way the form is, I hate to say it, but unless a good opportunity presents itself, and if we've got the money, then I think we may wait till the summer to make a first team signing, unless we go in for somebody like Bakayoko and there's certain names floating around.
Yeah.
But again, it would have to be reasonable. It's not going to be a 40 to 60 mil signing, and it does depend on departures probably as well, you would imagine.
Yeah. Now, we said when you are playing at home over the festive period, these games are brilliant, things to be a part of. So, yeah, we are looking forward to the game. When you perform and play well, you want the games to come to you. Now, on team news, he said Joe Willock is fine. To keep Joe fit for a sustained spell is now really important for him to get back to his very best level. It will take him a period of games. Nick Pope is doing okay. He has had a couple of injections in his knee. Quite when he will be fit is still difficult to give a definitive date. So I get the feeling with that, Alex, that we're not going to see Pope for quite a while, especially with injections. It's obviously something's not right there.
Originally we got quoted like a month, didn't we? So
yeah,
it could be concerning. It could be real concerning. But then the comments made about we'll see what happens with Dubravka later on in the transfer window leads me to believe he'll be back at some point in January, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Again, it's one of these timescales that Eddie's given, which 1 month turns into 2, turns into 3. You just never know with knee injuries, though, especially when injections are needed. It's very tough. I guess I agree with Eddie. It's tough to give a definitive date, and certainly the physios won't be able to do that because they have to wait to see how he responds to injections, I guess.
I think everybody's different. That a lot of players obviously play different positions. They've got different makeups. Some people are, Lascelles is a stocky centre half. It's a bit different. If you get a Joe Willock hamstring versus it's different, and everybody's going to respond differently. And they brought Bunce in specifically to try and improve these kinds of things. I would imagine in prehab and rehab situations. I think they should just crack on with it. If they're not ready, they're not ready. We just need to make the right call, because we've had a lot of situations where we've rushed players back and we've ended up worse off. So as frustrating as it is, let's just do it the right way from now on.
Matt says that tonight's Christmas special is, of course, Christmas Eve in Australia, so he can't wait. Yeah, it will be Christmas Eve in Australia when we do the Christmas special tonight. Really looking forward to it. It should be a cracking show. Loads to give away. If I just look down to my left, there is stacks of stuff for giveaways tonight. So really looking forward to it. Looney Tune says, we need to sell Dubes if there is a buyer. We can't keep hold of him just because of the Pope injury. I mean, it might be a situation where, somebody comes in and gives us decent money for Dubravka, something that we can't really turn down. Because at the end of the day, it is all about money as well, and trying to negotiate through PSR.
With who he is and his value and his age, it wouldn't be enough. If Eddie prefers Martin Dubravka over Vlachodimos, then 1.52 mil, an extra $500,000 in it on a transfer fee, probably isn't going to be enough for Eddie to go, yeah, that's fine, I'll just play my third choice. I doubt it. If you're a manager, if you get offered 15, 20, 25 to then supplement and buy more players in, yeah, absolutely. But we're talking 1-2 million for Dubravka, so at a push.
But it is Saudi Arabia that look like buying him, Alex. I don't know. Let's just a few more notes coming our way, maybe. You never know, do you? You never know.
It's still not going to be enough for him to be happy with playing somebody who he clearly doesn't want to use. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems incredible that we spent. I mean, how much was Vlachodimos? 30? Did we spend 30 million on him?
We don't know. The figures I've seen are around 20, but we don't actually know.
It's an awful lot of money for a goalkeeper.
Comes out
for it just not being used at all. Lemon Tea says hopefully the Saudis come in with a £30 million bid for Dubes. Graham says, question is, who would you replace Dubes with? Well, Vlachodimos is there for me, and he looks a sound enough goalkeeper to see us through. But again, I mean, you don't know what Eddie's thinking. He gave both sides of the coin on the answer this morning with Dubravka, so we just have to... common sense, I think, will prevail with Dubravka. If they're not going to take a massive risk, if Dubravka's been out and he's now back in and he's performing really well, so there's not really that urgency, I think, for Eddie to say a yes or no. Obviously, Trafford's been banded around again, Alex, as a goalkeeper that we may revisit in this coming window.
I'm not sure it's a priority in this window. It's a priority at some point soon, because obviously Nick Pope's contract is up in 2026.
Yeah, I agree.
And then nobody else is good enough. So it's a big area of concern. It's somewhere we're going to have to strengthen. We're going to have to strengthen it soon. Because obviously we're looking at a right winger, a centre half, potentially just any decent pickups. And then we're going to have to address the goalkeeper situation at some point in the next 12 to 18 months. It's just a given.
Absolutely. Right, now on Aston Villa, Eddie said we had 2 games against Villa last season. This will be a really good challenge for us. I think they have good depth in their squad. They have some really good players. Their style is very difficult to play against. Very well coached and very well drilled. I guess, they are coached well. Emery's done a fantastic job with them. I just think that, Villa, they're on the back of a tough game against Manchester City. So, Alex, I believe you've got to pop off, mate, so that's fine. Hopefully,
I'll be back on later, guys.
Get yourself some rest and get yourself rejuvenated, and we'll catch you later, bud.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Take care, mate. So, Alex will hopefully be back with us tonight. Get some sleep and some good old R&R, and hopefully he'll be back for tonight's Christmas special. It'd be a shame for him to miss that, of course, through illness, but hopefully he'll be okay. Billy will be here, and so will Lady Sam. Really looking forward to it. So against Villa, obviously very difficult team to play against. Very good. Just come off the back of a win against Manchester City. Now, you could say that City are on a downward spiral at the minute anyway, so it was but, I watched the game, and it was a very good performance from Aston Villa. City scored late through Foden, but it didn't really matter by then. Villa had done the work and scored the goals. So I'm not sure how Villa will come into this game, but we are at home. We're a very good, decent animal at St. James's Park, of course. And it's not very often that I go into a game now confident of winning. It's only the last few, obviously, playing who we have played, and being in the situation we've been in and won games comfortably. But tonight, against Villa, is going to be. I think this is the sort of test that we need coming off the back of the 3 games that we've had, if that makes any sense. I think it'll be nice to know where we now lie in respect to where Villa are as well, because it's 2 very good teams going at it, and it should be a fantastic game. But I am expecting us to win. I really am. Graham says, sorry, Paul, we had Vlack at Forest. God, no. Go to your academy and get theirs. Clacken is okay at shotting stops, but is like a vampire around crosses. And if he has to think, that scares me. Okay, fair enough. Looney says Villa have found form just as we have, so it should be a good game. Rafiad Benisian says I would go for a right winger in January. Bakayoko for 25 to 30, or try for Donyell Marlin as he plays right wing, but also centre forward. Probably around 35 to 40. One thing that is definitive here is there is options out there. No doubt about it. There is options for a right winger, but it all depends on how Newcastle feel about where their priority lies. Now, already we've seen in the chat this morning and the chat last night about maybe a striker is the number 1 position that we need to look for. And I kind of agree with that in a way, because let's face it, we can't rely on Callum Wilson, because even when he comes back in January, if he comes back in January, that is, we're all expecting him to sort of get fit, have a couple of substitute appearances, and then be injured in January again. Now, there is also talk of Newcastle United cashing in on Callum Wilson and selling him. There's various options for sales in January. But with a striker, you've got Isak, who is playing out of his skin at the moment. He's banging in the goals nearly every single time he's on the pitch. He's getting in the positions to score goals as well. His one-on-ones haven't been fantastic when he's in the last few games. However, he's just lethal. When he doesn't have time to think about it, he just gets the ball and smashes the net. And that's what we want to see from a striker. But it's very, very tough period coming up for Newcastle United, not just up until Christmas, but obviously we're talking about January and afterwards here. Some big games where we need strength in depth. And at the moment, we don't have strength in depth in the striker position. And I don't see Anthony Gordon as this resolution to a striker when Isak is either rested or he's injured. I don't see that anymore. It doesn't work. I want to see Gordon on the left, where he is performing really well now in a settled position. Keep him settled on that left-hand side, and you get the best out of Anthony Gordon. But it's asking a lot of Alexander Isak at the moment, given that he can't rest Isak and put Wilson in because Wilson's not there. Colin says we need to press Villa. There's mistakes in their defence. Yeah, that's one position where Villa, I think, are very vulnerable is defence. And certainly if good old Tyrone Mings is around, he's prone to making a mistake. But listen, we'll have to see how they line up first, because coming off the back of that Man City game, they've got Champions League to think about as well. They're still in Europe, of course. Or I believe they are. I'm not 100% sure on that. But they've got a lot of games coming up, which will be difficult for them. James says we can beat Villa. We've done it last season and probably one of the only Premier League teams to beat them twice last season. Yeah, we played really well against Villa. Looney says fifth should get Champions League this season. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but here, it's Christmas. I can dream. Why not dream? You know, we've been in a bit of a negative state for a few weeks, haven't we, while we've gone through this little rough patch that we've gone through. But now we're picking up points. You know, the league is very congested between sort of fourth in the table and you look down, a couple of wins pushes you right up again. And that's what we want to look for this season. That's what we need to do now. And it's all about what the players have been talking about is consistency. Keep that consistency going. And even against we know we can perform against the bigger teams, and we've got the bigger teams coming up. You know, we got Villa and Man United. I mean, everybody loves to go to Old Trafford and win. And given the way they're performing at the moment, Bournemouth smashing them yesterday 3-0. You have to think that the way we're playing, we can do the same to Manchester United as what Bournemouth have done. So I'm really looking forward to the next few games because it gives us an idea of where we are now after picking up some good results, finding a bit of form. Let's go against the better teams now who are at the other end of the table and do some work on them. because that's what we want to see Newcastle do. Simon says, we go above Villa if we win. However, Onana makes a huge difference to them. Our toughest test yet, in my honest opinion. Baz says, Eddie keeps playing Barnes on the right, maybe till the end of the season. Well, that will happen probably if we don't bring in another right winger. It all depends on where the priorities lie behind the scenes with the hierarchy at Newcastle. Eddie is, Eddie says he hasn't had many conversations with Paul Mitchell leading up the window. I don't believe that for a second. Not a second. I do believe that conversations have been had, and they can't not have when it's so close to the transfer window. So, in my opinion, conversations will have been had, and the priority positions will have been discussed. But we won't know that until the transfer window and see where they actually bid for immediately. I think we'll want to get the business done sooner rather than later. We don't want another transfer saga playing out like it did with Gay in the summer. I think we want to identify targets, go for them, and then if they get refused, then just move on, get on to the next one, and keep on being active. Don't be pushed around by anybody again, because that's not what we want to see either as fans. Is will they sign him? Won't they sign him? Putting in another bid, declined, another one, declined, another one, and so on. It was really just a circus act with Gahey in the summer. Larry says Callum Wilson is practically a ghost in a squad. He's bound to get injured. Need another quality striker that can challenge Isak to get him playing at his best. Ben says even Adeyemi at Dortmund, he can play a left wing, right wing, and centre forward, valued at about 35 million. Looney says I would just wind up Callum's contract. Yeah, lots of people have said that, to be fair. Baz says Eddie has been lucky with Murphy's form and Isak not injured. Well, you say lucky, Baz. I don't think it's luck, is it? Part of it is, yes. But Murphy's a decent player, and I think he's been given an opportunity to go out there and perform for Newcastle, and he's doing it. Nobody can complain that Murphy is not putting his head down and working really hard and playing some great stuff at the minute. Will it last? Who knows? We just don't know. We're so used to Murphy in the past having one good game and then 3 absolute write-offs of games. But this time, he's playing well enough to stay in the side. He's scoring goals. He's assisting. And for me, he can't do much more than that. And again, people say, oh, well, yes, but we've played relegation teams. But he's done it against the big boys as well. But priority for me, is it a striker or a right winger? I think striker. You've got to say at the moment, given the last few games, the position that we need to look at is striker. But not everybody will agree with that. The Nemesis says, Delap from Ipswich would be my striker choice. Old-fashioned number 9, strong and powerful. Spike, as long as we play the way we have the last few games, we should win. Looney says, can you imagine how hard and expensive it would be to insure him? The games on the run-up to the Man City, we can win the lot. Get past Villa and Spurs and win the rest. We will be doing very well. Jill says, do you think Isak would leave mid-season? I don't, to be honest. The Isak thing for me, he keeps banging in the goals. The bloody press will just keep on top of us and say, oh, he's going. Newcastle's this and Newcastle's that. Look, we've had our say on that. Let's just leave the southern bias alone now. We've all had our say on it, and that's all we can do. We can have a say on it and then just say, right, bugger off. Let our players just concentrate on playing for Newcastle United. Murphy has done well, and thank God he is. We will strengthen in that area, but what a backup we have in the meantime. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have done a disservice to Murphy, to be fair, the way he's performing. He can't do more than score goals and get assists and play brilliantly, and yet people still want to slag him off and say, oh, he's not good enough, he's not this, he's not that. Disappointing, but I guess people have their opinions. Now, on the festive schedule, Eddie said every reason for us to be excited about those games against Villa, Man United, and Tottenham. I have been really pleased with how we have played in recent games, and I think we need to take that into the next week. We have some brilliant games on paper for everyone to attack and enjoy. So it's clear that Eddie is in the same mindset as he normally is, going out there to try and win some games, because that's what it's all about. We're playing some very decent teams over the next week or so. And again, this will be a test for us. We said last week was a big week. This week is also a big week. But then again, you're talking now about Newcastle United. And every week is a big week in the Premier League for Newcastle. And then when the cups come, it's a huge week again. It's just big games keep coming and coming. The FA Cup game will be a chance to maybe rest some players and give some of the squad a bit of time on the pitch, which I'm not privy to. I would think that a lot of changes will be made for that FA Cup game, and rightly so. You know, the players deserve a rest if they keep the form going. On Jacob Murphy, he said Jacob is very selfless. He always plays for the team. It really takes a buzz out of creating a goal. He has always been that way. Those qualities every team needs. So very, very complimentary about obviously Jacob Murphy. And why not? He has to be, because he's performing brilliantly. And I guess he's kind of rescued Eddie Howe in a way on that right-hand side, because he's come back in and he's creating goals. He's scoring goals. He's not afraid to cut in on his left or go down on his right. He can hit both-footed shots. And that's something in a player that Eddie loves. And sometimes you look on the other side at Anthony Gordon and say, right, just be a bit more clinical like Jacob is. You know, and if there's one downfall about Anthony Gordon lately, it's been his finishing. The rest of his performances have been superb. Getting to the byline, getting crosses in, all that kind of shabazz is brilliant. But, you know, we want to see him start to hit the back of the net, don't we? And I think that's something that you can't take away from Jacob Murphy at the moment. He's excelling, absolutely excelling. Julie J says, City fan, excuse me, City fans being entitled. They do need to clear out their aging players and get new players. They will try and get Bruno. Lucas says the game on Boxing Day should be a good game and has the potential to be game of the day. Both teams are playing well. That's Luca, a Villa fan. Well, very welcome, Luca. Yeah, I agree. It should be a cracking game. It should be game of the day. But the problem is, again, we have this Southern media. And what I laughed about in Eddie's press conference was he was asked about, Villa being up there and Newcastle being up there, and that maybe some certain parts don't want that to happen and disrupt the cartel. And that's exactly what Newcastle and Villa are doing. And Eddie actually agreed and said, yes, there probably is some aspects or people who don't want the likes of Villa and Newcastle in amongst the top six because it ruffles feathers. He says, but that won't stop us, and it certainly won't stop Villa. And it was a great response, because we know as Newcastle fans, and certainly as Villa fans as well, that they really are worried about Newcastle and Villa, because we are coming back and disrupting the cartel. There's no doubt about that, and nobody in the Premier League likes that. They like the comfort of having the cartel clubs there. They can then dictate what happens in the league. However, if Newcastle and Villa are disrupting things, it's a different story. And I genuinely think that Newcastle and Villa are probably the two teams that the cartel are worried about the most and want to stop happening. It's blatantly obvious when you see stuff going on the pitch, isn't it? Really, you just know. Larry says, why the hell would Bruno want to go to a sinking ship in Man City and leave a club where he's loved? That's the only reason I can think of, to be fair. Jack says, against Villa is always a good game. Got Man United after Villa too. I'd take a loss from Villa if it means taking 3 points from Man U and sending them closer to the relegation battle. Jack, I would love the 3 points against Man United, but I want to beat Villa as well. As much as, I don't want to say anything negative against Villa, because I think they're playing very well this season, and they've got a good manager, good set of players. I want to win every game we play. I don't want us to have that mindset of, I would take a loss against Villa just to beat Man United. I mean, come on. We want to win every game we go out and play now, especially when we're in this kind of form. Because if we can beat Villa on Boxing Day, go out there and beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, it puts us in an incredible position moving into January. It really does. And I think we've got to have that mindset. What a comedy show from Man United against Bournemouth it was. I mean, honestly, I think this just sort of hits home. And I watched Alice on her channel this morning talking about the game and how it really sinks home now that maybe the players are to blame. And it's not these managers that have been and gone at Manchester United. It's the players. And some of the players just aren't good enough. And these sort of players believing in their own hype when they're not actually good enough. But I really don't care. I hope we go to Old Trafford and absolutely hammer them. It's a big opportunity for us to really put a stamp down. Graham says you want to hear how Sky pundits are talking about Forest, talk about upsetting the Cartel. Listen, as much as Forest are doing really well, I don't think they can stay there. But then again, I had this conversation the other day, and I think everybody remembers Leicester, right? And I'm not saying that's going to happen again, not by any stretch of the imagination that Forest are going to win the league, because Liverpool are going to be waltzing away with it. But what I'm saying is, when Leicester were written off, saying, "Oh, they're not going to stay up there," they did. And Forest, all they can do is go out and do as well as they can and keep picking up points, which they're doing. But I can't see them staying in the top 4 or 5. I think Forest, a good season for Forest this year will be top 10, absolutely 100%. But if they can get any higher in the league, like a 5th or a 6th position, it'd be a magnificent achievement. But there's a long way to go yet. That's the thing. Now, that was pretty much everything Eddie had to say. Again, these press conferences, they're very, very close to each other. You've got to be careful that you don't ask the same old questions over and over again. The team will be in on Christmas Day training, but that's just a thing now. I think if you're a footballer, you just have to write off Christmas, don't you? In a way, if you're traveling, it's sort of different, because I think they've got to travel on Christmas Day. But these guys they'll train and then they'll go home and be able to spend some of Christmas Day with the families, because we've got a home game on Boxing Day, which sometimes doesn't happen if you're Newcastle United, to be fair. But it's happened this year, and that's a good thing, in my opinion, and certainly in preparation for Aston Villa, it'll be absolutely fantastic. So we will wait and see. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for the press conference reaction. We've lost a subscriber, would you believe, through that show. So it's 13 away now for 34,000 subscribers. 13, guys. That is all. That is all. So if you're watching this later on in the day and you're not subscribed, please hit that button. Free to do so. And hopefully we can celebrate 34,000 on the Christmas special, which would be incredible, really. But thank you very much for watching. Alex will hopefully be getting some R&R this afternoon and be back on tonight. But have a fantastic Monday, folks, and we will see you for the Christmas special. It's going to be a cracker. Loads to give away tonight, whether it be by quiz or members specials and things like that. So it's going to be a brilliant, brilliant show. So make sure you tune in. 7 o'clock start. Don't be late, or you'll miss out on some prizes. But until tonight, thank you so much for watching, folks. And we will see you very soon. Take care.
Come back and check out some green.